gleiche Recht erstritten. Wir leiden nicht mehr, sondern sind gelitten. We're not afraid to be queer and different. If that means hell, well hell, we take the chance. They are no straight, I'm tied up right in wretched. They walk books that we prefer to dance. We see a word of romance and of pleasure. All they can see is sheer banality. Love in the night, our greatest treasure. Where we can be just who we want to be. Thank you very much. Come on, follow me to my space. Come on, make yourself comfortable. I am Rita Scholl from Berlin, and I live in Berlin since 1988. Come here around the corner. And I've been born in Freiburg, that's near to the Black Forest, and near to France, and near to Switzerland. But I'm in Berlin since 1988, 1 year before the fall of the wall. This song, Das lila Lied, the Lavender Song, is a song from 1920, and it was the first hymn of the gay movement. And you won't believe, but the gay movement started, come a little bit around, so you don't have to look at the corner, come a little bit. So I see the wall when I look to you, I see the wall. And in the beginning of the 20th century, there was a starting of the gay movement in Berlin, and Magnus Hirschfeld has been a scientific pioneer, and he created and built up the Gender Science Institute. It was very famous at that time because he did interviews with gays and lesbians and intersexual people, and he wanted to know how can they live in a heterosexual world. And he was very, very interested in that, but in the 30s, this institute and also a lot of his books have been burned by the Nazis. So, at first I want to tell you a little poem. It's from Erich Kästner, and he wrote that in the beginning of the 20th century when he at first time recognized something like a queer community. Here, even experts can hardly see clear. Women are men and men are women here. The young men are dancing here with zest, in an evening dress with a rubber breast, while talking in sopranos. The women wear tuxedos and talk like Santa Claus while lighting bicavannas. The men go to the powder room to put cream on their hide. Here, no woman has any groom, each woman has a bride. Here, some tried so hard for perversions that they returned to the norm. And if Dante came here for excursion, he would take chloroform. Here nobody knows what is what. The true are false, the false are not, and all is mixed up in a pot. And up is down and front behind, one simply goes out of one's mind. So for all I care, have an affair with yourself or a mastodon, or every bird in Audubon. I do not give a damn. Erich Kästner. Thank you. I want to sing a song which Marlene Dietrich did in the film The Blue Angel, Der blaue Engel. There are a lot of famous songs, but I choose one. It's about looking for the real man. Kinder heute Abend. Please. Frühling kommt, der Sperling piept, Duft aufs Blütenkännchen. Bin in einen Mann verliebt und weiß nicht in welchen. Ob der Geld hat, ist mir gleich, denn mich macht die Liebe reich. Da such ich mir was aus, einen Mann, einen richtigen Mann. Kinder, die Jungs, hängt mal schon zum Tanzen raus. Einen Mann, einen richtigen Mann. Ein Mann, den Männer gibt es dünn und dick, groß und klein, kräftig. Andere wieder schön und schick, schüchtern oder heftig. Wie er aussieht, mir egal, irgendeinen trifft die Wahl. Kinder erwarten, das sucht dir was aus. Einen Mann, einen richtigen Mann. Kinder, die Jungs hängen mal schon zum Halse raus. Ein Mann, einen richtigen Mann. Einen Mann, dem das Herz noch in Liebe glüht. Einen Mann, dem das Feuer aus den Augen brüht. Und einen Mann, der noch küssen will und kann. Einen Mann, einen richtigen Mann. Einen Mann. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about the 60s. I've been born in the 50s in Germany, and that was a very conservative time. But when in the 60s, the worldwide young generation movement started, I let my hair grow and I have had clothes my parents didn't like. And I was very much influenced by the hippies and the Woodstock, and also I heard Bob Dylan and the Stones. And I was really, it was some kind of energy you couldn't have before. So this was really something new and very important for me, that stuff and energy. And in the 60s, you know, Carnaby Street in London, Champs-Élysées in Paris, Kurfürstendamm in Berlin, everywhere people were on the street. And the students did a very lot of demonstrations. We did sit-ins and happenings. And the students were crying in the street, wer zweimal mit derselben pennt, gehört schon zum Establishment. Translated, those who sleep 2 times with the same person belong to the establishment. Or others were crying, the private is political. And the female saying has been, the power of the dicks needs a boundary. That was that time, and I was a lot on the street. It was wonderful because on the street you could meet a lot of people. You could meet in places, in streets, in towns, everywhere. You could meet people and look into their eyes. And then you had the idea, oh, we had the same idea. We don't want the life of our parents. We want to be ourselves. And we will not agree with that authorities which say what we have to do and how we have to live. And that was a wonderful time. You know, there was no Facebook, no smartphone. The eyes, eye fuck, everywhere, all around, eye fuck. Yeah, that's so important. That's our senses and they need to be used. So also in this time, we started to ask our parents and the older generation, how could that happen? How could that dictatorship of Hitler could happen? And why have you been a part of it? And all those ugly crimes, there were no really answers. But this question reminds me of a song, it's a German one, and it was a song in the ugly years of the Second World War. And at that time, when this song came in radio or somewhere else, the soldiers who were fighting against each other, for example the French and the German ones, they stopped to be a machine. And they started to listen. And they heard their inner voice, which was telling them something else. For example, their desires and their wish to have connection to their people they love. Lili Marlene. This is my Lili Marlene act. Vor der Kaserne, vor dem großen Tor, stand eine Laterne und steht sie noch davor. So wollen wir uns da wiedersehen, bei der Laternen wollen wir stehen, wie einst Lili Marleen, wie einst Lili Marleen. Underneath the lantern by the barracks gate, darling, I remember the way you used to wait. It's there where you whispered tenderly that you love me, you'd always be my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marleen. Devant la caserne, quand le soir s'enfuit, la vieille lanterne soudain s'allume et lui. C'est dans ce coin-là que le soir on s'attendait, rempli d'espoir, tous deux Lily Marleen, tous deux Lily Marleen. Aus dem tiefen Raume, aus der Erde Grund, hebt mich wie im Traume dein verliebter Mund. Wenn sich die späten Nebel drehen, werd ich bei der Laterne stehen, mit dir, Lily Marleen, mit dir, Lily Marleen. Resting in the beach, just behind the line, even though we're parted, your lips are close to mine. It's there where you whisper tenderly that you love me, you'd always be my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marleen. Now I think the most important time in my life has been the 70s. I think some of you perhaps also, the 70s were very important. So I started to perform at that time. And there were a lot of influences, you know. For example, the women's liberation movement, the lesbians movement, and the gay movement. And suddenly, in all towns in Germany, there were built gay centers, and you could talk to each other, you could get informations. That was very, very new thing. And also the people could speak about all, and their problems, and their love, and they could communicate. And also, there was the first gay pride march in Berlin and in Hamburg. It was in the 70s. And I started to perform, and I gave me a feminist name because I'm a feminist from my birth on, from my first second on. And I gave me the name Rita. And that came from Rita Hayworth because I loved her elegance and her glamour, and also from Rita Moreno from Latin America, from the West Side Story, the wild dancer. So this mix of elegance and wild, this I loved. And so my first name on stage has been Rita Bastardo. And there was also a German theater ensemble, they were called Brühwarm, and they were touring around Germany and singing songs and doing show, and they were very proud of being gay, and they told that the whole people who were in the audience and in the streets, we are proud to be gay, we are self-conscious, and we don't hide ourselves anymore. And that was also a very important influence. And also at that time I could see the Hot Peaches from New York. And they were the legendary Hot Peaches, which started 1972 to perform and ended 1998. So they had this wonderful song, Yin and Yang. Does anyone of you know that? It's a very long time ago. Yin and Yang, you have to hang out your yin and yang. Be masculine, be feminine, and all between. That's wonderful. And express yourself, don't hide yourself. The private is political. And no double life anymore. So that was also very encouraging. And the years I started to perform, I always had a very, very strong mask because I was influenced by the silent movie. And I show you, you can give it around, pictures when I started to perform because I loved those femme fatale. For example, Seda Bara or Asta Nielsen or Gloria Swanson. And later, Gloria Swanson did say, we didn't need dialogues, we had faces. I remember that from Sunset Boulevard. And also because the silent movie was for me very exciting and interesting because in the silent movie, eyes, mouth, body and gestures show all human feelings, and every one of us knows those human feelings. And that's why I love to express myself with silent movie things. Yeah, and then also it was for me very important to go out into the street, so I told you about that. And I did perform a lot around the 70s, 80s, and later I started to perform in a lot of directions with ensembles and solo and so on. And I think we have, in these years, in these centuries, in this 80s, 70s, 60s, reached a lot of freedom. And this freedom is very important, and it is fragile. Remember the German story when the Nazis killed and castrated the modernity and also the wonderful culture, Jewish German culture of the Weimar Republic. And they killed and castrated that. And you can feel that till today, because the German culture has not enough courage and not enough humor. And that's very bad. And so as a German, I tell you, be very aware of those tendencies which we also have at the moment, nationalists and populists, and they are going in that direction. And the reality is, fascists hate. And they hate pleasure. They want to forbid pleasures to others because they can't feel it themselves. And this is very destructive and very dangerous. So, be aware, be clear, be loud on the streets and everywhere, because this is our life, this is our freedom, and this is our presence. Okay? Those were the days. Es war so ein Tag wie jeder andere, und doch mir schien, dass er ganz anders war. Du und ich, wir gingen durch den Frühling, und ringsrum war die Welt so wunderbar. An jenem Tag, mein Freund, da haben wir gemeint, die Zeit blieb stehen, allein nur für uns zwei. Doch ehe wir nachgedacht und alles war gemacht, da war der Tag für uns schon längst vorbei. La 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 les jeux de brume, avec des bruits étranges et de pleurs. Combien j'ai passé de nuits sans lune, à chercher la taverne dans mon cœur. C'était le temps des fleurs, on mich noch Just one night I stood before the tavern. I saw your face and heard you call my name. Oh, my friend, we're older, but no wiser. For in our hearts, our dreams are still the same. Those were the islands, my friend. We thought they never end. We see the friends forever and play. We never lie and choose. We fight and never lose. For we were young and sure of our way. La 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 la. Follow us, come on. Learn to be sing together. La da 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 da